Hello, a huge welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to see you here. Today, I'm going to be talking about human design profile lines. Now, there are 6 profile lines within human design, so they literally are numbered between 1 to 6. And I'm going to chat about them within the context of what each line means. And then I will do separate videos to explain the different combinations of those personality lines. Okay, so I've just called them personality lines. So there we go. So these numbers that we see within our human design charts often go along the lines of a 1-3, 3-5, 4-6, 6-2, 2-4, etc., etc. And so there are 12 different variations of these 6 numbers. And what they mean is how your energy type is going to express itself into the world. Okay, so we sometimes, to coin the phrase, it's your personality. It's how you show up in the world. Now, when we read our charts, we're given 2 numbers. So for example, I'm a 4-6. The first number, the 4, is how others see us. And then the 6 parts of a second number is how you see yourself. And when those 2 numbers come together, they create a theme around how you not only express yourself with other people, but how you are called out into the world to share those gifts that you have within your chart. So it's all deeply connected. So you have your wonderful energy type, which I've already created different videos about. So hopefully you can see them on my channel. And they talk about the different energy types. So just as a short reminder, you have a projector, a manifestor, manifesting generator, a generator, and a reflector. So they're your 5 energy types. And I'm not going to talk about those today. I'm going to talk about the profile lines. And I'm just really wanting to create these short videos just to help you unpack and get a sense, a flavor of what the chart can tell you about yourself. This isn't a human design isn't a labeling system, okay? It isn't about you are this thing and that's how you must operate. It's a magical map to help you understand the gifts that you hold within yourself so that you can live a full, happy, successful life. And you tend to know when somebody is aligned in that way because they are just lit up and energized in a way that's just admirable and really exciting, and you can just see the passion sort of coursing through their veins. So it's really lovely, and I would love that for everybody. So personality lines, let's talk about them. So the lines 1 to 3 are intrapersonal lines, what we call intrapersonal lines, and they are expressed through relationships with other people. Lines 4 to 6, so 4, 5, and 6, are transpersonal, and those lines are expressed through external energies, so relationships that you have with yourself in the outside world. Okay, so that's just to get that out of the way. And by the way, this is something that you will start to see in yourself as you become more and more aware of your personality lines and what they mean and the influence that they have on your life. So the first line is what we call the investigator. The first line profile is amazing, and they are here to go out into the world and literally investigate, right? And sort of look at different things and explore different things and understand different concepts, explore different relationships, explore different business types, parenting techniques, whatever it is in their life, they're here to explore that. And they're also generally good planners. So your line 1s tend to express themselves in a way that's really quite fun, because you could say to them, well, the sky is blue, and they will literally say, well, we don't know that. I need to go and do some detective work and figure this out for myself. And whatever facts or whatever information or whatever I learn from people around me, that's what's going to be my reasoning in terms of understanding whether the sky is blue. And this is really fun because my daughter has a 1 in her line, and it's very frustrating from a parenting point of view, because if you try to advise her or just maybe help her along, because we parents come with all this wise wisdom, or at least we think we do, and you try and guide her, she'll shut you down. It's more like, no, yeah, that's fine, but I want to go and figure it out myself. I need to go and have a look for myself. And for her, the 1 plays out in a very scientific way, because when I look at other elements and gifts and things like that within her chart, I can see that she's very factual and she's very fact-based. So the 1 is this investigatory type side. And the 2 is what we call the hermit side. But actually, it is a hermit side to one degree. I tend to use that word because a lot of people with the 2 line, well, literally everyone I've spoken to with the line 2 profile will say to me, yeah, that sounds like me. They get the concept of a hermit. But the 2 is a very powerful line as well, because it's very introspective. The aim of the 2 profile is that you're able to take on all of the experiences, information, and knowledge that the 1 is sharing, and take that into yourself and almost integrate with it, so that when your people come along, they will call you out on those things that you are just naturally good at. So the line 2 has a lot of natural gifts, and they tend to be gifts that they're not even aware of, but other people see it in them. Okay. And what happens is that when they are sort of over here in their like area, being, hermit-like and having their own time and being very introspective, much to their dismay, often somebody will call them out on those natural gifts and want to ask them about it. And it's the line 2's job to then share that. Okay, so now if you start to think about how this is building up in terms of a picture, we've got our 1s here that need to go out into the world and investigate and create plans. We then have the 2s who will then take on that information and almost internalize it and sit with it and turn it into natural gifts that they can become shareable with people who will then call them out. Okay. And then you have the line 3 profile, which is the experimenter. And that is literally exactly what a line 3 profile is. They will go through life trial and erroring a lot of things. And that is how they learn. So they'll have lots of ups and downs on whatever it is that's their flavor, that they are pulled towards. And they will want to go out and experiment. So try different things, taste different things, relationships with different things, whatever that is for them, right? And it is through those learnings that they're able to then express that and share it through the other part of their profile and the gifts within their chart. So again, my daughter, she's a 1-3, really interesting profile, right? I have this one side of her that's very investigatory, wants to know things. And then this other side of her that's almost like, well, now I've got this information, I've got to kind of run it through this trial and error type funnel. I've got to be able to test both sides to really understand what the outcome is going to be, what the result is going to be. So now if we look at it as the 1 to 3 all flowing through, we've got our investigators here, finding out information and planning. Our number 2s, our hermits, taking that information in, internalizing it and expressing it through their natural gifts, and then sharing it when they're being called out. And then we have our 3s, our experimenters of the world, who are out there trial and erroring these concepts, these thoughts, these advancements, these technologies, all sorts of things, right? And, that's what they're here to do. And as I said, they'll express that through the other elements in their chart. And the 1 to 3 lines, as I mentioned at the start of this video, are experienced through relationships with other people. So you tend to see that they're experiencing trial and error, investigation, the natural gifts, within probably direct relationships. Now, the number 4, so I call the number 4 the people person, but I don't want that to be misunderstood, because you are not somebody to all people, okay? So the number 4 loves community. They love their people, all right? And depending on what other line that number 4 is matched with. So for example, I'm a 4-6, it's matched with the number 6, which is the wise sage. So I'm all about sharing that wisdom with my people, okay? And the 4 really, really loves networking. They will build relationships, they'll build business, they'll build collaborations through their network. So they are not somebody to everybody. And the number 4 profile can discern very, very quickly who is and isn't their person. Okay. And that's a good thing. And they should honor that. We often get sucked into the shadow side of people pleasing and feeling guilty. And that really is the shadow side. The optimal expression of the 4 is to connect with their people, so that when they have something to share, it's going to land in the way that they want it to land. All right. So now we're going to go through those lines again. Investigatory with the line 1, so out there looking at stuff, exploring stuff. We have our number 2 for our Hermit, internalizing things and then sharing the concepts through their natural gifts. We have our number 3s, which are experimenters, out there trial and error, right? Trying to make sure that there's credence, I suppose, to the number 1, that, what they've discovered is true, holds some weight in this world. Then you've got the number 4s who'll take on all of that information and share it a little bit broader, right? To a network, to a community. So it starts to go wider. You can start to see it kind of infiltrating the space around us. Our number 5s are our teachers. So they have the save the day energy. And people tend to put the line 5 profile on pedestals. They tend to lean on them, expect them to know stuff. But also on the other side of that is that they can tear a number 5 down very quickly if they don't meet those expectations. So if you're a line 5, it's a really lovely, highly energized profile, but you may also feel the weight of other people's expectations, the fact that they lean on you. So depending on what other number that number 5 is matched with will depend on how that energy is then expressed. So we need the teacher energy, right? So if we're taking it all the way through from the 1 through to 4, by the time it gets to 4, if they're spreading all this information and they're sharing it through the gifts of their chart to their community, the 5 will then also take that on, absorb it, because they're probably part of that community, and they will turn it into wisdom that would then help to inform other people when they lean on them, okay? And then we have the 6. The 6 is the wise sage, but the 6 has, unlike all of the other profiles, a triphasic phase. So when we look at human design, we tend to look at it through the expression of 2 phases. You have your south node, which is your 0 to 39 years. And then you have your north node, which is your 40 until the end of your time here on Earth. Okay, so we tend to have those 2 phases. And we always find that our south node teaches us a whole bunch of stuff in our youth that we then take on and use later on in our life within our north node. So think about your life journey, think about all the things you learn in your south node or learning, and then how you're expressing that in your north node. If you're still going through your south node, I promise it will become really helpful to you later on. And that's a good lens to kind of look at things through as well. But the 6th phase is triphasic. It has 3 parts to it. So it has the 0 to 30 years, first part of our life, where we live it as a 3. We tend to kind of go out there and we're experimenting and we're trying different things, and there's a whole bunch of trial and error. And what we're actually doing through that process is, yes, we're trial and erroring, but we're actually subtly also eliciting really good, wise, knowledge and from that experience, so that we can store it, so that we can use it later on in our life. The middle part of our life then is sort of like your 40 to your 50 years. And this is where we tend to internalize it. And they say that we're on the roof, right? It's where we go, we're on the roof, we're looking, we're observing, we're taking in all of the information that we learn in the first phase of our lives, and we're trying to integrate it. We're trying to work out kind of like, where does that fit in everything that's going on around me? And then in the 3rd phase, so 50 years plus, we then step back out into the world and share that information. And for example, as a 4/6, that means that I will be called out by my people, by my network, in my community to share that information, which is what I'm starting to actually do now. Even though I'm 46, I can see that I'm starting to come very slowly off the roof, and that I'm starting to get ready for the next phase, the 3rd phase. And, the middle phase can be quite difficult. You can feel stuck, right? Especially with females as well, because you're going through menopause and there's lots of other different changes that are going on around you. And if you've got a 6-line profile, you will feel that, right? It can get a little bit sticky, but there's a lot of comfort in knowing that that is your phase, that this is meant to be that integration phase. And so when we look at from top to bottom now, line 1, investigatory, right? Out there exploring things. They're the investigative detectives of the world, right? They're out there finding things out for us. And the number 2, the hermit, is then taking on that information and expressing it through their natural gifts and being called out by their people. You then have the number 3, who are basically testing the hypothesis that the number line 1s have discovered, to see whether it's true or not. So they're doing lots of trial and error. That then goes through to your line 4, which is where we then express it through to our community and to our people. Within that community tends to be your line 5s, who then take on that information and become the teachers of the world and have this fantastic save the day energy, and people like to lean on them and ask their thoughts and opinions and things like that. And then you have your line 6, who is absorbing all of this, right? Storing all of this. So at the point that they are called out and that information is needed, they are ready to express it. We have all of those lines within our chart. So even though your profile might say a 1-3, a 3-5, a 4-6, 4-2, whatever it is, we actually express those lines in different ways throughout our charts. And I'll talk about that in a different one, and I'll make sure I've got a visual and things so that you can see exactly how that's displayed in the chart. But when the chart is calculated, there's obviously 2 areas. There's one at the time of birth, which is your planetary placements at the time of birth. So how things are going to happen and influence your life as you live this story. And then you've got your soul's design, which is created 88 days before your birth, right? So that's why we need time of birth within human design, because it's looking at both areas. And your soul's design is where you eventually get to when you've lived the fullest expression of your personality design, and the two become balanced. And that's when you know you've reached the most magical version of your life and you're living it to its truest story. So when you look at your chart, you'll see lots of different shapes, lots of different numbers. And when you see the point something, so maybe you'll see 39.5, 40.2, 3.3, those numbers after the points are your profile lines. So if you take a look at your chart, you might see that you've got like a particular gate within your Venus. Venus is all about relationships. And you say you have gate 49.5, okay? Gate 49 is all about the humanitarian. It's got to save planet type energy. You're here to make an impact. And you'll do that through the relationships that you have in this lifetime. But it's also being expressed with the personality line of a 5. So you're here to take that on and then be able to store that so that when people come to you who need that information, you will then be able to express it. You'll be able to then support it. And it's very likely that you'll get put up on a pedestal, possibly in a community or something like that, and people will look to you in order for you to give that guidance. So that's just an example of how the profile lines can be expressed through the different gates. So I don't want to overcomplicate things today. Really, the biggest takeaway for me is that you're able to have a better understanding of what those profile lines 1 to 6 mean. Please let me know what you have, like in terms of your profile lines. I'd love to hear from you. And if you've got any questions, as always, please let me know. Take care, everyone. Bye.